What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, showing up. This is my dumb man. Like and subscribe. So, speed bumps of love. I can't. I'm speechless almost, but not quite, because I had foretold this. I had foretold the behaviors. I said, not to myself, but I said to the ether net that, yeah, Sony don't care. You know, Sony don't care this gen. All they care about is the money. They don't care about their players. For the players, no, it's for the players. For the payers, can't say it right. And news came out today that Sony is raising the price of the PlayStation 5. Wow, this is so ridiculous and crazy. But yeah, there were news. There was kind of a thing about that a couple of weeks ago, whatever, because they had raised the price of their other hardware, you know, headphones and whatever else, probably cameras, I don't know, across the board. So this was kind of like the media was like, "Yo, you're gonna raise the price of the PS5 too?" They said no comment, and I said, "Yes, they are." Okay, it's blind to blind. It's plain blind in the sight of yes, they are gonna. And that's what's happening. Except for the United States. I was like, wait, what? First of all, why? Because is that gonna help them? Is that like, oh, in the competition? Because they're not winning in the United States. Microsoft is selling more Xboxes than PlayStation is in the United States. They've been beating them in MPD for I don't know how long. So is that their attempt to beat them in this market? Because it's basically roughly a 10% increase, right, across the board. Not so much, but let's just do rough math, right? So in Europe, or not in Europe, I'm sorry, in the UK, it is going to be $550 as opposed to $500, you know, $499. So 10%, right? And the dollar to the pound is, the dollar is a dollar, obviously. Is 1 to 118, $1.18 or whatever, however they do the pennies. And so I'm like, okay, so these mother flowers are upping the monies for everybody across everywhere almost. I wouldn't say the whole world except for US. And I'm like, even Canada. And I'm like, I mean, it's not surprising. Like, I was watching Destin Legary's video on it, and he was like, I can't believe it. Me and Hogue, we were talking about it, and we said they would never do it. And I was like, yeah, they're gonna do it. And this is just another, it's like, yo, today I was watching the Xbox kind of showcase thing for a Gamescom, and they were showing games, and they were talking, and the people, Sea of Thieves came out, and all these people came out. I was like, yo, this is all right. Get some insight in some games. It's like, yeah, this feels like video games again. And then Sony comes out, yeah, as the economic inflation rate, I'm like, yo, are they trying to lose? Are they like, yo, we have to lose? I don't understand what's going on over there. Do they realize that not doing it in the US is a bad look? It's a bad look all around, but is that gonna prevent IGN from not reporting on it or something? Is that what their plan is or something? That doesn't make sense. No, they're gonna report on it anyway, because it's world news. The video game market isn't just, oh, all we care about is the US, so we're not gonna, no. IGN, Giant Bomb, all these outlets that are US born and US based, they're gonna talk about the price increase, even though it doesn't affect the US market. Will they increase it one day? Maybe, possibly, who knows? At this point, it doesn't matter, because the damage is done. You know, Sony this generation, Sony is the bad guy. Remember, I think last gen it was like EA or something like that, like from the microtransactions from Star Wars and stuff, Battlefront 2 or something. They were the bad guy, right? Sony is the bad guy this generation. And they try to sneak in, oh look, the DualSense Elite the Edgelord edition. Here's the DualSense Edgelord. Try to distract or something. You can't distract from this. And they put it out on their blog. Man, I tell you what, I'm like, yo. I remember I said PlayStation lost this generation, right? They must have saw that and said, well, if we lost, we might as well try to get as much money as we can. Let's just charge these fools. And I know I'm saying it in the way that I say it, but honestly, I think the sentiment is the same because they don't respect y'all. They don't love y'all. They're not sitting here, oh, let's think about the gamers, what they want to do, what they want. No, they want to make products that people will buy. Their whole exclusive thing, this is all tied into their behavior. You know, if they make a game that you can only play on PlayStation 5, that will force you to buy a PlayStation 5, right? But that's not the case anymore because PC. So the play computer, as I will call it, is a better option. And for all the super minority that needs to buy it day one and play it day one and all that stuff, that's going to fade away too. Just like Phil Spencer says, exclusives are going to fade away. And Sony is just trying to hang on. They're trying to hang on to that old market model. And they are stabbing themselves in the foot in the same time while the Titanic is going down. They are on the Titanic. They're stabbing themselves in the foot. And they stuck on the Titanic, and they gonna drown because they will not change. And it's not like oh, it's just change for change's sake or whatever. The industry is literally changing before our eyes. It's changing before our eyes, and they are not budging. They're just like, nope, we're gonna sell consoles and sell games, and maybe we'll make something that could maybe turn into Game Pass down the line sometime. Maybe, I don't know. And I'm like, yo, but this price increase is like, I mean, it just happened today, so I want to hear from everybody. I want to hear from Porter Rock. I want to hear from Zaire, Next Gen 720. I want to hear from Jeff Gersman. I want to hear. I know there's some out there be like, oh, it's okay. They're literally capping. They're like, it's all right. You know, they have to do it because they said it. It's inflation. What you gonna do? Like, fuck no. Excuse my French. No, that's not how it works. This is business, okay? So you need to make a compelling argument for your price increase. Are you going to give us some more stuff? You're going to give us the extra dupe zip in there? You're going to throw in some games? You're going to throw in a game for every console that you bumped up? You're going to throw in a game? But that's not even like, throw in 2 games, then maybe, maybe it's better. Maybe it's a better, it's not a sour taste as a sour of a taste because there's conceived value in if you put in 2 games. MSRP at 60, so that's 120. So you're like, look, you're getting a deal. They might do something like that. If they were to see, usually the model is they make an improvement on the console that saves them money and they keep it at the same price. So they save money. They actually make more money on a new console that they put out, the revision, if you will. But they're charging the same. This is, they're making the same mother flower console and they're charging more. And I'm like, where's the PlayStation 5 Pro? It should be out now. It's 2 years already. It's 2 years. Why is it not out already? You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. PlayStation is tripping. This generation, they are losing it day by day. And I don't quite understand what their end goal is as far as where they want to be. I mean, I know where they want to be in position as far as the market. They want to be number one, but like, where do they want to be starting in the next generation? Like, what foundational elements and strategies are they creating for themselves so that when they go PlayStation 6, it's gonna be this, this, and this, and this, and boom, we got it. They're not doing that. They're just like, a PlayStation 6 will be different, more powerful, different games. Buy it, please. Meanwhile, Xbox is like, Game Pass. I mean, sure, it'll be a new system, but it's Game Pass. You know, that's it. And that's a smarter move because you have literally an ecosystem. It's more than just buy a console, buy games. And you might have digital stuff on your console store. This Game Pass is a entity upon itself that doesn't rely on hardware sales or unit sales of games. That's the genius of that strategy. That's where Microsoft is pulling away from PlayStation, pulling away from Sony this gen. And Sony, I don't know why they have to see it, but why don't they do anything about it? Why aren't they proactive in making the moves that they need to do? They're a multi-billion-dollar company. They could be a multi-trillion-dollar company if they applied themselves. But maybe it's a Japan thing. Maybe it's like, we're xenophobic. We don't want to do this, that, and the third. They would have to get in bed with, more so AMD. They don't have the capital to do what Microsoft did. They would need to build a server farm for themselves or buy someone who has server farms. I thought Gaikai was that, but I guess Gaikai probably used Amazon, whatever, Amazon stuff. So, yeah, they cannot. When Phil Spencer said, we're not competing with Sony, back in the day, we competed with Amazon and Google and stuff. I was like, I get what you're saying, but really? Is that what? And now I look at it today, I'm like, he was absolutely right. 100,000% right. And now I listen to Phil Spencer when he speaks. He did an interview with, I forgot what the game was, my bad. But he's a really good interviewer. I didn't realize how good of an interview, because he's a programmer. Phil Spencer, he came from code. So he knows, like, what it takes to make a game and build an app and all that stuff. So he knows the questions to ask, like, how hard was it to implement these ideas, blah blah blah. I was like, he should have his own show for real. Because as much as we're okay with like Major Nelson and Jeff Rubenstein, Phil Spencer's, I'm just saying, Phil, I know you're busy running the CEO of gaming, basically, and that's another thing. When they changed his title from Xbox CEO of Xbox to CEO of gaming at Microsoft, I was like, ooh, that was a slick move, because it's CEO of gaming. That's a very wide, a very general statement, a very large title. And when you have Microsoft, one of the largest companies, that makes it larger. So it's kind of cool, and it also really does explain his job more than just being Xbox, because got Flight Simulator when it came out on computer, PC first and stuff, all the PC side. So although it is Game Pass centric and Game Pass related and stuff, it's still correct. So let me merge real quick. So yeah, Phil Spencer's doing his Stuck Thistle. He was the best thing. He is the best thing to happen to Xbox. Since whenever. Since I don't know. It's been a while. But this whole price hike is ridiculous. I was laughing my balls off. I was like, what? And this is another tick on the it's another scratch on the wall. Like, Sony's just like, I feel like I was Nero Damas for a second there, talking about they lost a generation. And that was based off of like Call of Duty acquisition and some other things, but this is like they're destroying it themselves. It's like they're not even trying to compete. They're like, we can't compete, we gotta get the money where we can. And dude, I don't know if they realize that this will turn people off. Like, if there were people on the edge, on okay, maybe I'll buy a PlayStation 5, maybe, like PC gamers or something. They were right on, like, trying to decide. This just said, nah, forget it. Nah, I'm just going to get a PC, because why would I buy a PlayStation 5? Plus, with the evidence of Spider-Man and all these other games, way better on PC, the Play computer. I'm like, why would you buy a PlayStation? They're raising the price. Prices on graphics cards are plummeting. You could buy a graphics card for cheaper than a PlayStation 5 today. I mean, it'd be an okay graphics card. It's not gonna be super dope fly or anything. But they can apply all the technologies that they're doing on the PlayStation 5 to make it look so fly. All the smoke and mirrors that they do, and it looks just the same. Probably actually run better, and you have more control. You can decide what you want to cut, trim, boost up. So yeah, it's looking grim. And we're gonna see it. We're gonna see these ponies come out and try to defend it. I want to see what they're gonna say. They're gonna say, yeah, the market inflation. I'm like, y'all are knuckleheads. No. And I'm looking at Microsoft. I'm like, y'all better not raise the price. And I don't think they will, because they understand the market. They understand what they need to do. And then the ponies and the Donkey Units are going to say, oh, but they're in last place, so they have to do that, or they have to do this. Sony's in first place, so they can do whatever they want. Well, I mean, okay, sure, they can do whatever they want. And they can also lose their position in the market. And that's what's going to happen. That's already happening. It's just a little slow trickle right now. But that's what's happening. So, there's no doubt about it. But it's really entertaining to watch. I told y'all before, this is gonna be the best generation ever as far as just kind of strategies, the companies going back and forth. The technologies are progressing. I think it's getting a little bit better. This generation also is gonna be very long. I said it would be 1 year longer than the last gen. I think it's gonna be like a 10-year generation, because I mean, I don't want to say 10 years. It's 2022 right now, right? 2023 is when the actual next gen games are coming out now. 3 years after the launch of these consoles. So I will guarantee you that Sony will do a PlayStation 5 Pro in order to elongate and boost up the sales of that PlayStation 5 brand. But I don't think Xbox will. So I think there's going to be a divergent path from this gen to next gen. So here's my prediction, real quick. Xbox is going to chill with the series. They may make little improvements in its fabrication and such, swap out a chip here or there, but nothing major. Cost saving, or whether the actual parts no longer are available, so they have to switch it to something else. Whatever the case may be, as far as that goes, sure. But they will not do how they did the Xbox One X. They're not going to do that. They have the Series X, they have the Series S. They're good for this generation, for low power, low cost, high power, high cost, right? PlayStation cannot afford to do that, because they already are behind as far as technology and as far as power. They don't have the power narrative this generation, and it's hurting them, not significantly, but it is hurting them. They don't have that crutch to say, yo, we got the most powerful console and it costs the same. Now they have the least powerful console and it costs more. Does that remind you of anything? Last gen, Xbox One, same thing. Except Sony didn't blow their load and sabotage themselves day one. Microsoft did. Sony is doing it over a longer span, over years. It's 2 years now almost, right? So it's taken them 2 years to destroy the good faith that they had and launch. At launch, they were like, they can't do no wrong, PlayStation 5, let's go. Now it's like, everybody's like, why are you raising prices? This is crazy. We would have never thought. So that's my prediction. Sony is going to have a PlayStation 5 Pro and make this generation as long as possible to reap the benefits of that branding, right? Xbox is gonna come out with a series, whatever, cubed, or a next version of the Xbox that will be next gen technology, whether it's I guess 3000 series or 4000 series. Well, I mean, it's AMD, so whatever the equivalent is, basically. And that will fit within what they're doing. It doesn't matter what they create as far as hardware goes, as long as it's better than Sony's. I mean, that's kind of their mandate now. And so they can come out, they could do like a 6-year generation. They could do a 5-6 year generation. Like in 2026, they could be like, yo, new Xbox is coming out. Meanwhile, PlayStation's like, we got PlayStation 5. So PlayStation 5 Pro could come out in 2024, let's say, right? And then the next year, Microsoft comes out with the new Xbox, the next gen, basically. And it splits the generations. It splits them. And so now Sony's like, uh-oh, we just put out the Pro. How can we, either it's gonna cut PlayStation's plan short on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and they're gonna wait and get left even further behind because all these graphics whores and stuff, they want the newest technology, they want the strongest, newest and best. And Microsoft could do it. A, they got the capital. B, the way that they're doing their business, they don't need to do a Pro console. They don't need to do an upgrade, a mid-gen upgrade for their consoles. They can actually make a new console. And they have two avenues of advancement. No, that's not the words. Of next generation consoling. So you can take it's two models. You got the Series S and you have the Series X. So it's the S and the X model, right? So the S is less expensive, blah, blah, blah. So imagine this. Their next gen consoles are coming out, right? It's got, newer technology, faster, chips and all that stuff. So it would be more akin to the S graduates to an X as far as power, raw teraflops, but it'll probably be more efficient because of the new technology. And then the X is just whatever, 2-3 times more powerful than the Series X, whatever the next X is, X2. So the way that I'm seeing it, and I'm a dummy. I'm just a dumb dude that's dumb. So I know that they're thinking about these things because they have the ecosystem. Their business strategy and plan is so straight that they can pretty much do almost anything. They can be like, yo, Valve. They could buy Valve and have the Steam Deck and call it the X Deck or something, the Stex Deck, whatever, Xbox Deck, and that's the Xbox Portable. They can go into business with Steam and say, okay, we're not gonna buy you guys, but let's do a deal. Let's do a Steam deal. And the thing is, with Sony and Nintendo, Microsoft, Steam, Epic, there is some division. I don't want to call it racism, but there's xenophobia when it comes to that stuff. More so on the side of PlayStation and Nintendo, because that's just culturally speaking, Japan has always been xenophobic. I guess since World War II, for good reason. But culturally speaking, I mean, before that, they hate Chinese. They've kind of been on their own thing, right? But that's hurting them in a way because it shrinks down the options they have, like Sony. Like, okay, would they buy an American studio or would they buy Square Enix? They'd probably buy Square Enix first. Square Enix makes decent games sometimes. They're not like knocking it out of the park all the time. They're making some stinkers sometimes. Final Fantasy is their saving grace. Everything else is like whatever, So you look at that, and I mean it's the same thing with Microsoft. They're trying to get into the Japanese market, and I've always said that Microsoft should just create their own Japanese studio. Just go over there, buy some real estate or something, do it through a couple of shell corporations or whatever you got to do to get it, and then build it. Be like, yo, Kojima, you want a new building or something? You want more building? Let's go. Or not Kojima, because he's like a free spirit. He does deals, but he's never kind of owned. But anyway, tangent aside, yeah, as far as like my prediction for the next gen, I think Microsoft is in a way better position than Sony is. Sony is just playing the same game, and they're gonna have to restart again next gen, and it's not gonna work out. It's not gonna work out for them. They're messing up bad, you know. And I bet you Microsoft is sitting there. I mean, they're doing their thug this and they're trying to figure out, you know, math the problems and stuff out, but they're like, whew, I'm glad Game Pass is working, boy. I'm glad. And that's why they're putting so much money into it, because they realize what they have. They saw how Netflix blew up and growed up and boom, right? And then you see Disney Plus just have like, I think they have over 200,000 subs. 200 million subs. And I think that's combined with Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN or something. I can't remember, but you know, you're looking at these examples of this subscription service model, and it's working. And Microsoft was like, yo, we're gonna be the Netflix of gaming. And it worked. It worked. And it took investment. It's the long game. I've always said this, it's the long game. And Sony is not interested in changing. And you know, we're just gonna see what happens. They're gonna have to do something eventually. My prediction is that Sony will become more of a niche console, where it's kind of like PSVR or, you know, Oculus VR or Quest VR, whatever it's called. It's like, yeah, it's good, it's cool, but it's not like super wide. It's not super widespread. And them relying on third party as much as they did, like Fortnite and all that stuff, for their income is a total disaster over there. So when that income starts to shrink and disappear, which it will, because Call of Duty, well, that income's gonna disappear from, I mean, not totally from PlayStation, but some of it will, because people will move over. So they're gonna get a hit as far as revenue comes. So they're gonna lose money. And that's why they were so scared, because they didn't want to lose money, obviously. But you know, it's almost like every day more bad news for Sony, and I'm like, I mean, at this point, it's self-inflicted wounds. They're just like, like, what are you doing? Why? Anyway, I appreciate you guys. This is a long one. I appreciate you guys hanging out, showing up, dumbass. Like and subscribe. Go in the comments. This is Juicy Juice. Let me know what y'all think about Sony upping the prices. Let me know about what you think about the future of PlayStation versus Xbox, as far as like their ecosystems, like how they're foundationally set up for the future. Let me know. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Tip the way.